what's going on, guys? James here bringing you another YouTube video. This one is going to be the next episode of my DPW reviews as they finally put out their next episode of DPW Spark. Now, if you want to see my thoughts on the first DPW Spark episode, that is tacked on to DPW Fire episode 4 review. Link in the description, of course, to that. But for Spark episode 2, this was recorded at the same time they recorded You Already Know. And that helps answer some of the questions I had for why they announced like 12 matches on the show for You Already Know, but we only saw 8. That's because some of them are for Spark, which we learned. So that's right, this was taking place in Raleigh, North Carolina. And yeah, that's really all I can say about that much so far. It had 2 matches, so it was bigger than the first episode. The first matchup was Aaron Cox versus Mikey Banker. Mikey, of course, was joined by Josh Fuller at ringside. And they had a nice little match, all things considered. There was some disrespect being thrown around by both guys. Both guys as well showed that they're both powerful and strong, but kind of in different ways. Aaron got some good power moves over the bigger Mikey Banker. Mikey actually displayed some technical prowess, which was really cool to see. And at the end of the day, there's not, again, too much else to say about this. There's not too much else to say about this other than there was a really cool ending sequence where they both reversed a big move from one another. Aaron went off the ropes to try and spear Mikey, and Mikey caught his leg and went right into a grapevine ankle lock to make Aaron Cox tap out. As well as that, Aaron Matthews, of course from Simply Better AM, was the ring announcer for the match as well. So that was really cool. Nice to see Aaron, with the Vibe guys getting to do some stuff in wrestling. Which, of course, if you follow him and the rest of the Vibe guys, Aaron was already trained to be a wrestler anyway. Even before Vibe formed. Cool to see AM. Again, Aaron Cox and Mikey Baker put on a fine little match. Had some good stuff in there. And it had a really cool ending sequence. And that's really all I'll say about that one. Not too much else to say. And then, of course, after that, we went into a couple of interview segments with also another Vibe member, Muscleman Malcolm, who has been doing a lot of the interview stuff for DPW, which is always really cool to see. He interviewed first the NDA, particularly, of course, Chris Danger, who was standing with Brandon. Brandon does everything. So that was cool to see those two together. So then, that was really cool. He brought up how Patrick Scott, of course, member of the Reality, NDA, was not there for You Already Know, or the taping at least. So here on this episode of Spark, it would be Chance and someone else filling the spot. And Chris actually did seem a little bit worried, but Chance came in, said there's this guy that he's known for quite a while, is a good friend, and he was going to bring him in to fill in Patrick's spot for the night and maybe even have a recruitment match for the NDA. And that's how Chance and friend Mason Miles to take on TSF in what would kind of be a rematch. After that, we also got an interview with TSF saying that they figured Chris has something up his sleeve, and they allude to some things, but it doesn't go too much further than that before we get into the main event match of Spark Episode 2. The NDA comes out with Mason Miles, so I guess for this instance you could call a temporary member, as well as that there was also a pretty funny moment, as actually before that there is something to mention. Brandon, who was also, of course, like I said, standing by Chris in the interview, would also, we would learn, is now the personal ring announcer for the NDA, which again is really cool. Brandon accidentally messed up the name of Chance, but that's fine, I guess. He'll work out the kinks. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so yeah. And there was also a really fun spot where the crowd, of course, was chanting "Danger sucks," and then Chance goes over, covers his ears, and then Mason covers Chance's ears, and the referee covers Mason's ears, and it was really cool. It was a really fun spot. Then TSF comes out, and they're like, whoa, 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 guys. Come on now. 3 of you, 2 of us, the numbers don't add up. Unless you're Scott Steiner, but the numbers don't add up here. They brought out Luther because, of course, and Luther was ringside just like Chris was ringside. And the match would get underway. And this match ended up being like, a full tag team match. So it gets points over the Reality versus TSF match from Fire. Just for that alone, because it's a full match. There wasn't a cheap finish. And like, look, I didn't have a problem with the finish of the first match they had. Like, it was fine. That's clearly the way they intended it to go, and it worked out well enough. But again, it is nice to see like a tag team match go full length. Again, there's some good stuff in here. All guys looked good. But by the end, at the end of the day, TSF had Mason Miles, who said he was going to finish off TSF. There was an inadvertent hit from Mason on his own friend Chance Riser, which knocked him off the apron. They got him up for a Doomsday Powerbomb. And then Chris tried to get involved once again. Luther, who was on the outside, grabbed him by the foot, drug him outside the ring. They hit the Doomsday Powerbomb and they got the win, getting some level of revenge back over the NDA. And from there, it went into another promo between Luther and Chris. Luther started talking about, Chris being a bully and all sorts of stuff like that. Both members of TSF, Luther, they brought out Kid Bandit and someone whose name I cannot remember, but there was 5 of them all come out, all saying that, all 5 of them came out, cut their own tiny little promos saying that you're gonna have to go through them. And of course that also involves Luther cutting that promo as well. And after they all said what they had to say, Luther took the reins a bit on the promo. And then of course that went into Chris talking as well. Chris is so damn good on the mic. We had a little bit of like the Chris that we got from Fire, and then that immediately went to like a very serious Chris that we haven't seen before, not in DPW anyway. And he literally got right in the face of Mason Miles once Luther and everyone else left. And he said, like, if you ever cost me a match again, you'll never work in this business again. Like, he got super serious. It was cut. The promo was cut very well. It was brilliant the way Chris delivered the lines. And yeah, that's really all I can say about that as well. It was just good stuff all around. And at first you almost thought, it was like, is Chance gonna side with Mason here? No, he didn't. He beat down Mason Miles on behalf of Chris. And that's that. That was the end of the show. As they walked away, as Mason Miles was down in the middle of the ring. And that was the show. That was the second episode of DPW Spark. And it was good. It was a good little show, all things considered. The tag match went to like an actual conclusive finish, which was nice. Aaron Cox and Mikey Banker was a nice little match. The only thing I had a problem with is it's more some of those thought. The only thing I had a problem with, it goes back to what I said in the episodes of Fire, where they had a lot of like the stuff they needed to fill the time between matches. They had pretty much all of that at they had pretty much all of that stuff in one spot, and they didn't spread it out through the show. And as someone who has tried to make realistic wrestling products myself, albeit through using the WWE games, even though I'm using the WWE games, I still try to make the shows as realistic as possible and structure the cards how I think they should be. And for me, like, I don't like the idea of the interviews being back to back when you know they were done at completely different times. Knowing you only had 2 matches on the show, I would have had one interview kick off the show after the intro, go into Aaron Cox versus Mikey Banker, then go into the other interview, and then go into the match and the ending promos. That's how I would have done it. And it'll feel more like a natural progression, and it's not this like 2 completely separate interviews that are airing right beside each other. I don't know, like, that feels weird to me. I wouldn't do that if I was structuring the show in post, but you know what, I'm not the editor. Like, that's Pulse, and it actually says here in the description of all the videos, it's Pulse and a guy by the name of Superjaw, who do the editing for the show. Again, I wouldn't have done it that way. And it's not a big deal. It doesn't harm the show at all. I just think that it would be better suited to have like the interviews at different parts of the show, unless you were doing them at the same time and you had them feed right into one another naturally. But otherwise, it's literally just... But the way it feels is it's literally just two interviews, one after the other. It's just a little weird. Again, that's my opinion on the matter. Again, like I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't harm the show at all. It's just not something I would have done had I structured the show. But yeah, it was a fine little show, all in all. Both good matches. The interviews were done well. The promo was executed nicely. And that is where I'll end it. Not too much else to say. It was definitely like a step up from the first Spark, but like, that was easy to do because this first Spark was literally just one match. No, nothing. It was just one match, nothing else. No interviews, no promos, nothing. So yeah, it was a nice little show. It felt kind of like a little baby version of Fire. And that was alright. I'm cool with that. But that was the second episode of DPW Spark, my thoughts on it all. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you check out the show, which is free on YouTube right now. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys. Fuck, what did we go into again? Was it the interviews? I think. Yeah. TSF had Mason Miles, who said he was going to finish off... TSF had Mason Miles, who said he was going to finish off the... Fuck, I can't say this line.